morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday so far. Just getting to Wednesday's masterclass today. Super excited, as always, to go over this with all of you. So, obviously, just want to keep reiterating over and over again like a broken record. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, every single week, unless otherwise notified, around 8:30, give or take start time. Running a little bit late today, so thanks for bearing with us. But today we're going to be talking about weight fluctuations, scale fluctuations, why they happen, and why they're completely normal and there's nothing to worry about. Literally this morning, probably an hour ago, I had a good text conversation with a guy I just started working with about a month ago, and this guy's particularly heavy. He's in the mid 300s, and so he's lost a good chunk of weight. I'd have to go see the exact amount, but he's definitely down at least 10 pounds right now, which is really exciting. But I have him weighing every single day, and that'll lead me right into our topic for the day. I have him weighing every single day, and this is something he's not used to, so it was very sort of almost difficult for him initially, and I can understand that because you don't want to obsess over the scale, right? And we'll touch on that a little bit as well today. But for scale fluctuations, I wanted him to weigh daily because I wanted to show him that the heavier someone is, typically the scale will go up and down more aggressively on a daily basis. And this comes from things like holding on to water, additional sodium, if we have a lot of salt in our diet, which there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Sodium is a very underrated electrolyte that our body requires. So salt isn't really that big of a deal. But what I'm trying to say here is a lot of water, a lot of additional sodium bloat, and just overall just the body going through its normal processes on a daily basis. The scale's going to go up and down. And I taught him that. And, every single day he's weighing himself, and it's like 349, then 347, then 348, then 346, and 347. You know what I mean? And so he's getting already a really good idea of why the scale fluctuates and how it's completely normal, because it really used to bother him. If he saw the scale go up one day, he would immediately kind of give up and get discouraged and go back to his old habits. And that's really what this is all about, right? Because me and Brittany can sit here and explain why weight fluctuations are normal, why they're common, why there's nothing wrong with them. But ultimately, the really big thing for people is to understand that if they're up 1 pound overnight, that it's not fat, that they didn't screw up, that the plan is working and there's nothing wrong with them, right? And it's just completely normal. And this is very important to understand because I've seen it happen with a lot of people, and I've also heard it happen with a lot of people when people obsess over the scale or when they're in a weight loss journey on their own, and they get really discouraged when the scale literally jumps up 1 pound overnight, like I just described with my client that I've been working with. And it's good to understand why the scale fluctuates, but it's also good to understand that it's completely normal, like I'm saying. So for me, right, I'm in a cut right now, right? I'm losing weight right now, right? I have a goal in mind. I have some health-related goals as well that I'm trying to achieve at the moment. And so I obviously know, having done many cuts in my life, having been, very lean before, being sub 10% body fat before multiple times, I know how the scale works and I know how my body operates. And so right now I'm losing about 1 pound a week, which is sustainable for me. But the other day I was around 205, and the other day I bumped up to 206.5 around there. And my digestion was a little bit off. I felt a little bit of bloating. And so I knew, okay, my digestion is definitely the reason for this, right? Obviously, I tracked everything. Obviously, everything, made sense from a calorie standpoint. So I'm doing everything in my power to get where I need to be. My steps are where they need to be. My cardio, I'm doing all my cardio. I'm doing all my, extracurricular stuff. So it's like, if you know all of your variables are in play and you're doing everything you can and you're not lying to yourself, because that's very important as well, then scale fluctations shouldn't bother you at all. Like, they shouldn't bother you at all, right? The only time that should bother you is if you're on like a big weight loss journey, like, you want to lose like 100 pounds, like something like a very long journey to get to a certain point. If, months go by and the scale hasn't moved, then yes, there's certain variables that you're doing incorrectly. Something is off. You're not weighing something properly. You're not doing enough activity. You're not training enough. Your consistency is off with some variable, right? So I know that was a lot. I just kind of went into it there.
That's great.
Sorry about that.
That's good. So I want to talk about kind of like the 5. I just have notes so I just don't forget anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Just kind of like 5 big reasons, and there's just so many. So obviously, yeah, like water retention, muscle inflammation. So after a strength training workout, hormones, women.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's for like week leading up to your period, week during your period, and ovulation too can fluctuate as well. Obviously digestion and inconsistent weigh-in habits. So I've had it before where for whatever reason a client didn't know that the only real time to weigh is on an empty stomach after you use the washroom in the morning, not after coffee, not after it's been hours since you've been up. Literally, as soon as you wake up, if you need to use the washroom, naked, weigh yourself. That is the only time. Not wearing a huge sweatsuit. Like, you have to weigh yourself at that time. Any other time during the day, it's not going
to be accurate.
No.
Yeah, no, so, I agree with you 100%.
Let's start with water retention and kind of like why that happens, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So for water retention, right, it can come down to a variety of things. Digestion is a big one, though. It's kind of like hand in hand, you know what I mean? And also with the sodium bloat. When I mentioned sodium bloat and water retention, they kind of go hand in hand. They're correlated. So if I have a lot of salt, by the way, one of our Lexus is here again, the bulldog. So she's trying to chew my chair, so I'm just trying to guide her away from there. Classic Lexus. But do you want to come up?
No,
okay, of course.
Okay.
Oh. It's better if she's up here. So, anyways, sodium is going to cause water retention, okay? Obviously, if you have a large amount of sodium, inevitably what's going to happen is you're going to experience a little bit of bloating. You're going to have that little bit of a soft appearance, right? And this happens with excess amounts of salt, okay? Salt is not bad for you, okay? Contrary to what maybe you have heard from like medical things or medical records or doctors or something, unless you have some sort of an ailment that prevents you from having salt or sodium, so maybe you have like some electrolyte imbalance or something that's critical to your health, like maybe something's wrong with your kidneys or something like that, then yes, by all means, control your sodium intake, right? That doesn't apply to you. But for the average person who's healthy, sodium is an electrolyte. And anytime you buy an electrolyte beverage, right, like Gatorade or something like that, growing up, my mom always used to say when I was sick, or, you need to replenish your electrolytes, here's a Gatorade. I always thought there was some magic blend in the Gatorade. Yeah. Like there was a Gatorade had this like top secret formula. And most people, believe it or not, probably believe that anyways. Like people that have grown up, like in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, if they don't understand that it's just sodium, right, it's just salt, then they're never going to understand. There's a new electrolyte beverage going around called Element. You've probably seen it. There's these little packages, but they're full of electrolytes. And so magnesium, potassium, and sodium, she loves me, are all various electrolytes. So sorry guys. If you're listening to this without watching, my bulldog's just climbing all over me. Anyways. So, with that being said, excessive amounts of sodium specifically is going to cause a little bit of bloating, a little bit of a soft appearance, and will probably affect the scale a little bit, causing weight fluctuations, okay? For water, right? Water and sodium together are necessary, like when the kidneys are filtering and doing their thing. Obviously, if you drink a lot of water, you may think that you'll have a lot of water retention. This is actually not the case. What causes a lot of water retention from drinking too much water in this case would be if you had a large amount of carbohydrates to go with it. So carbohydrates hold water. There's nothing wrong with carbs either. You should never avoid carbs, right? Like I'm not going to go into like keto and crap like that. I just don't believe in that stuff, right? I've never believed in fad diets, and I'll never believe in a diet that removes an entire macronutrient, because that's just insane. Like taking away carbohydrates entirely is nuts, insane. So with that being said, everyone has carbs in their diet. Everyone has maybe a little bit of carbs, a lot, it doesn't matter. But do understand that 1 gram of carbohydrate typically holds about 3 grams of water, which can also cause a little bit of water retention. I know, for example, like if I went and ate, 300 grams of cooked pasta right now, right? Like 150 grams of carbohydrates in one sitting, like I will be bloated, right? I will be holding water, right? It's just the way it is. right? Oftentimes, for example, I always use extreme examples because it really explains it all, like really good, in my opinion. But like bodybuilders, for example, right? They're depleted. Typically, maybe they strip carbohydrates altogether so they can get as lean as possible. And then leading up to the show, they'll start carb loading. They'll start eating a lot of carbohydrates, easily digestible carbohydrates, so that they can start to fill out, right? Because, you know, carbohydrates will obviously help replenish glycogen in the muscles. I'm not talking about that today, though. But what carbs will also do is hold water. So if a bodybuilder eats too many carbohydrates and doesn't really keep track of how they're looking, they can spill over, as they call it, and it looks like they're very watery, they're very soft, even if they're very lean, okay? And so oftentimes that is where water retention derives from when the scale fluctuates.
Yeah, he's just explaining just like bodybuilding techniques when going into
yeah,
the show.
I understand all of us aren't bodybuilders, right? Like there's some of us are, but the reason I always use bodybuilding as an example is because bodybuilders take fitness to the absolute extreme. Like there's nobody on the planet other than bodybuilders, Olympic lifters, power lifters, strongmen, whatever, you know, marathon runners even, right? That take fitness to the extreme. And so when I'm describing something, it's easy to use people that take it to the extreme because they literally live and breathe that. That's their entire life. And water retention, scale fluctuations, things like that are more prominent for those people, right? Like after a bodybuilding show, a bodybuilder can gain like 20 pounds in like a week because of how, if they start consuming large amounts of salt, large amounts of carbohydrates, large amounts of calories, what inevitably happens is they go from being very, very lean to all of a sudden their body's like, oh my goodness, give me all of that. And then they have a crazy amount of water retention, like insane, to the point sometimes where their ankles and their wrists are like swollen, like it's really bad. So that's an extreme example. That's not happening to all of us though, right? So just understand, if you're doing everything you need to do, you're nailing all your variables on your weight loss journey, okay? And you see the scale go up a pound overnight, you're not doing anything wrong, okay? It's very normal.
Muscle inflammation after a workout.
Yeah. That's another one as well. So like, I wanted to say, so I've done it before where let's say I'm sick and I take a week off the gym and I actually weigh like 4 or 5 pounds lighter. It's because I haven't worked out. Like that's right. Like I've seen that so many times for myself. Yeah. So inflammation is a real thing in general. Again, this is a great, again with bodybuilders, right? Like we've seen it, like we've prepped women before and we've seen it before where, you know, we have to pull back on cardio or training a little bit if weight is stalling because of inflammation, right? Stress on the body as well. That's another thing too, is stress. That kind of fits in there. So cortisol in general and just stress overall. If you are battling a bunch of stress at work, in your family life, it's very difficult to obviously nail all the variables necessary for you to continue to lose weight, obviously. But on top of that, if stress is high in the body doesn't want to change. Like, right? The body is worried about handling that stress, right? Whatever that may be.
It's worried because it thinks there's something wrong. Like you know, we're getting chased by a bear. Or like it doesn't know what's going on. It's just trying. Like that's what its focus is. It doesn't want to like lose weight, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, Lexus.
Brittany gets more frustrated with Lexus than I am.
So muscle inflammation, obviously. Does that mean we shouldn't work out? No, it just causes inflammation.
That's right, yeah.
Hormones, so yeah, just going into that. I tested this too. I've been really into just like my cycle in general, and I've just been like pinpointing like moodiness, you know, ovulation, like all of that. I've just been seeing how I feel and things like that with like I've been tracking it on an app. And so I noticed around ovulation, scale jumps between 1 and 3 pounds. During ovulation, I noticed right after ovulation, my mood kind of dips slightly. And then I noticed a couple days before I actually start my period, my mood is always pretty like, I'm pretty down. But also my weight will jump anywhere from 5 to 7 pounds up. So I normally kind of weigh around that 120. It can jump up to 127. And that's just me staying normal on my routine. So it's very, very normal.
Yeah,
for sure.
100%, yeah. Obviously, I'm not a woman, but you know, we work with hundreds and hundreds hundreds of women. So, you know, it's something that you notice every time a woman's going through their menstrual cycle. And they'll typically say it on their check-in as well. You know, I have my time of the month this week, so I understand that the scale's going to fluctuate because me and Brittany tell them if they don't already know that coming into working with us, right? Yeah. And so that's very, very normal.
I would, if I were you and you don't do this, I would get a free cycle tracking app. It's like changed, like it's like taught me so much about my body, and now I know exactly why I'm feeling a certain way. It makes me feel better. If I'm like, why am I down? And then I'm like, okay, this is where I'm at on my cycle. Like I can feel it, and my hormones shifting. Like it's really, really.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah, Brittany is always telling me which phase she's in her menstrual cycle, and kind of the symptoms associated with that. So it helps us better understand her body as best as possible. But also like everyone we work with as well,
especially
because it's all different. Yeah. Everyone's different. That's the thing. And like I mentioned this to a lot of women we work with. Is like I've seen women be have their time of the month, and you know they're like, yeah, I'm rocking it. Everything's good.
Yeah, and sometimes I have cycles where I'm like feeling, I'm like hip thrusting, like 400 pounds, like yeah. And then some cycles I'm like crying, like in bed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're begging me for coffee from Tim Hortons. Yeah.
I
That's
think
hilarious.
too, where I see a lot of fluctuation is women in perimenopause or menopause, obviously, because hormones are like normal.
Yeah,
like,
going ballistic.
For some women, some I've seen it too, where women have a fine time going through that, but then I've also seen it lots of women, obviously, as you know, have a hard time going through that.
Yeah, for sure. I think statistically, with menopause and perimenopause, and the women we've worked with that obviously are going through that, typically, you know, they're going through the ringer with their hormones. Like, you know, it's all over the place. They're feeling, you know, hot flashes are a big one. You know, like my mom and your mom as well. Yeah. Like literally both of our moms are going through that right now. Like, so hot flashes are a big one. You know what I mean? My mom will like sometimes just like crank a window. Like she'll
it's coming on, and we'll be like, what?
Oh shit, guys! Hot flash. And then like the freaking window she'll just start opening windows. It'll be like minus 30.
Like minus 30.
And she'll start opening windows, and then she'll start fanning herself with like fucking newspaper.
And then I'll feel her, and she's like very hot.
And she's sweating. She'll be like, feel me right now, feel my forehead. You know what I mean? So then I'm just like, oh my goodness, like my mom's freaking going through it right now, right? So, but again, like tying that back to scale fluctuations, obviously, like when your hormones are all over the place, when you're on your time of the month, I'll just take her. It's fine.
Exactly.
When like obviously me being a man, right? Like I can study as much as possible, right? And you know, read as much as I can and get up to speed as much as possible over the years, which I have on, you know, what, you know, a woman's time of the month entails and what they go through during that. And I've also seen many sample sizes with working with hundreds of women, in terms of like some of them go through it. There's nothing wrong. The other day I had a client, shout out Jenna. I had her. She was just like, she didn't answer me for a few days, and then I was like, hopefully she's okay. And then she messaged me. She said, I had just had the worst period of my life. It was horrendous. Like I was like fighting demons. It was just awful. And so I was like, okay, wow. You know what I mean? Like it's truly like almost like an estimate, right? Like when it happens, you don't really know until you're going through it, right? And I can't speak on that behalf because I'm a man, right? Like I really can't. Like I'd be silly, and I think any man is silly for if they say like, oh yeah, like trust me, I know exactly what women go through. It's like, oh man, you don't, right? So like I don't, right? All I can do is take sample sizes of the women I've worked with, Brittany, and all the things that I've learned and taught myself over the years, and come to that conclusion. But nonetheless, your hormones are all over the place, right? And your body is not worried about losing weight during that week, right? Brittany actually showed me like an AI rendition, like video of what it looks like. Like it was like an AI internal video showing like the ovaries and sort of what happens during when you're during your time of the month. It's crazy.
I never had seen this before. Go look up on TikTok or Instagram and just be like cycle, like what simulation? Yeah. Cycle simulation.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. And don't do it if you're actually on your period though, because that's what I did.
It looks crazy. So I'm just assuming if that's what's happening in the in the woman's body, like it doesn't look fun. It doesn't look enjoyable. So
definitely educate yourself on if you're not super, like even a couple of years ago for me, like compared to now, it's just like I've educated myself so much on just the menstrual cycle and hormones in general, and it makes me feel a lot better when I see those fluctuations.
Yeah.
The next one is digestion.
This is a big one. So this is my jam right here. So like I have IBS, right? I have colitis. So obviously if I eat something off plan or something remotely disruptive to my digestive system, like obviously you can assume what happens after that. Like I don't have to go into the details, but like I have colitis, which is very similar to having Crohn's, and so I have to really watch what I eat and really focus on that. But the scale fluctuates for me lots all the time. It always has and always will, and that's just something I've come to terms with. But nonetheless, relating that back to digestion, like what you eat, what you put in your body is so important, right? There's so many ways to lose weight if we're talking about weight loss here and scale fluctuations, right? And there's a lot of people out there who will say, oh, you can eat anything, absolutely anything, and lose weight. And that is true in practice, in theory, right? Like, yes, calories in versus calories out. If I eat less than my body requires to stay the same weight and I'm active enough, I will lose weight. Oh, she wants to go over to you? Yeah, okay. She switched seats. There we go. So, hilarious. If you're eating whatever you want to lose weight, power to you. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like if you're weighing everything out to the gram, you're having a donut from Tim Hortons every day. I don't know, right? But like at the end of the day, if you're losing weight that way, great, that's awesome. However, right, I would be shocked if your digestive system was like 100% optimized, or you had really, really good digestion if you were just eating whatever processed food you wanted to every single day, right? This has nothing to do, by the way, with health. Like I'm not saying like these types of foods are going to kill you. I'm not saying like a Diet Coke's going to kill you, right? That's not what I'm saying, right? What I am saying though is the more processed an item is, right, typically the harder it is on our digestive system. And if our digestion is off, we're going to be bloated, period. Like, period. If I eat something that doesn't agree with my stomach, having colitis, right, like, I bloat immediately, really bad. Like, it's like Brittany laughs, I look pregnant. Like my stomach sticks out, it gets distended,
and
right?
This is just a genetic thing Dylan has. He didn't like this is just his family has genetic IBS.
Yeah, like I've always had digestive problems since I was young, and I also before I got in the gym at 14, my diet was like horrible. Like always eating pizza, always bad. It was really bad.
His entire dad's side has it, so obviously it's like.
Yeah, my dad's side has a lot of bloating problems and a lot of digestive problems. My auntie has Crohn's. My aunt has Crohn's. I wanted to talk to you though for people who don't have that. Obviously, too, you can have digestion issues. I have, I think, a lot better digestion than you because I don't have that issue. Yeah.
But I do. Obviously, everybody's had that upset where they wake up and they feel bloated or they, or whatever. And so, having to use the washroom or can't use the washroom. But another point I wanted to say too is I went over this with another client is if you eat too late into the evening, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm just saying if you eat at 10 p.m., 8 p.m., whatever time, and it's a little bit later, and then you weigh yourself at 6, 7, 8 a.m. in the morning, that food you ate hasn't fully digested yet. Yeah, and so if the scale was up 3 pounds and you're like, what? Like that food just hasn't digested. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll go into cheat meals quick as well. Because obviously that's a massive one.
Yeah.
Like if you have your cheat meal, let's say you have a weekly cheat meal in your program, or you're losing weight on your own and you you implement a cheat meal every week or something. If you have your cheat meal on Saturday and then you weigh yourself on Sunday morning, obviously you're gonna be up weight. Like obviously, right? Unless you're so consistent and it's been programmed in, right? Like if me and Brittany are working with competitors and we say, okay, like you should have a cheat meal this weekend, right? Like we program it in because maybe their metabolism is so high and they've been so consistent and they've been dropping weight very rapidly. Maybe they'll continue to lose weight even after eating more calories. This is person dependent though. And I'm not getting into that for the average person. Just the average person has a big meal, a cheat meal, a high calorie, calorically dense meal on a Saturday, let's say, and then Sunday they wake up and weigh themselves and flip out that they're 2 or 3 pounds up. That's very normal. Like Brittany just said, that food is not completely digested yet, and it probably also digested like crap at the same time, right? So keep that in mind. If you're, you know what I mean? And also, like, obviously, if you're eating a massive meal that takes you out of a calorie deficit for that day, just be aware that even if you nailed your calorie deficit the rest of the week, if that cheat meal was particularly large, or you had a large meal like a Christmas dinner or something, like you definitely took yourself out of a calorie deficit for that day. And so the next day you might be up a couple pounds. That's fine. Okay?
Yeah.
Very normal.
So things that you can track alongside the scale, because the scale is one indicator of progress that we always like to say. So if you're going a prolonged period of time and that scale hasn't moved, number one, I asked my client Gabby, she's at work right now, so if she says yes, I'll share her photos below after we get off here. She's up, I think, 2 or 3 pounds since starting. She's been working on training for a high rocks competition for 2026 for a month, and if she says yes, I can share her photos below, and the difference of 1 month and the scale is up a couple pounds is insane. Her waist has shrank, her delts are capped, and if she was worried about scale weight, then she wouldn't see that progress in only a short time in a month. So if she says yes, I'll share those photos, but she's up a couple pounds. So trust me when I say a lower weight does not always equal the physique that you want.
That's right.
I will say that.
That's right, yeah.
So things we want to make sure that are super accurate to make sure that we're seeing that progress is you want to make sure you have a high step count. Obviously, if you have a fat loss goal, you want to make sure your protein is in check. So we always say 1 gram per 1 pound of body weight roughly, or sometimes you're a little bit higher than that, right?
Right, yeah.
We say, are you drinking a consistent amount of water? How is your sleep? Are you tracking your strength progression? So in the gym, are we increasing those weights? Because that's important. Obviously, is your digestion good? Energy, mood, how's your hunger? Are your clothes fitting differently? Obviously, progress photos, that's my favorite progress tracker, is seeing those photos.
Yeah, for sure.
For example, for my client Gabby, that's where we're seeing that progress. Obviously,
Yeah.
if we were just looking at the scale and it's okay, nothing's changed, but when you see the photos, that's where you see.
Yeah, that's the real change, right?
Obviously, measurements. So measurements, do not take those weekly. That's once a month, if not every
I would say
months.
measurements are almost optional, really.
It's not a
some
requirement
people
for
love
us.
to do them. It's not that big of a deal for me. Visually and how you feel, all that matters.
Yeah.
For me, if you want to really know the truth, I don't even know the last time I measured my muscularity.
I've been training for 10 years and I don't think
I don't think Brittany ever has once. I did maybe once or twice, but I was in my early 20s, and even then I just didn't like doing it. It's such a tedious task, and at the end of the day, that is another obsession in its own, by the way. People that obsess over the scale, I've worked with people before where they're down a pound, and then on their check-in they're upset, and I'm like, what's wrong? You're down a pound, this is a very sustainable amount of weight loss, we're doing great. And they're like, yeah, but my body fat percentage scale, which by the way, I'm going to be just straight up here, those things are absolute BS. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. If any of you own one and you trust it, I'm telling you right now, that is the most inaccurate piece of equipment you can use, and it just messes with your head.
The only accurate way to see body fat percentage, which isn't even 100% accurate, is to go to a DEXA scan at a professional company, at a professional
even
clinic.
Calipers are more accurate. But
yeah.
I remember working with a guy, and I'll just share this really quick before we wrap things up here, and he was upset that he lost a pound. So he was losing a pound a week. He was doing great. And then out of nowhere, he's just oh man, really not kind of discouraged this week. And I was like, why? What happened, right? I was like, you're doing really good, man. And then he was just yeah, I mean, I lost a pound, but my scale said I'm up 0.3% on my body fat. I'm like, oh, come on, man. Come on, right? You gotta look, you gotta zoom out, right? Don't trust this. That's what I mean. That's another masterclass we can do about trusting the scale in general, right? We gotta be careful with that. But measurements, what I wanted to finish up.
Again, we're not saying if you're into that, that's fine, but
it becomes an obsession, is what I'm trying to say. So, the grand scheme of things with the measurements and stuff is if you obsess over I lost a pound, but my bicep is 0.2 inches smaller. It's you're just gonna drive yourself insane.
Where the only maybe recommendation I would have, if you were you had bodybuilding aspirations, if you had extreme some sort of sport that required that and stuff, that's where I'd only focus on something so accurate,
niche, right?
Accurate, right? Because if it's just a lifestyle thing, I wouldn't try to be that specific about it.
Yeah, because you're just gonna end up obsessing over the wrong things. It's called majoring in the minors, okay? You're worried about the small little things that really don't matter, and the things that do matter are your consistency, your habits, the variables that you're nailing.
How you feel, your energy,
how you feel and how you look when it comes to fitness goals, whatever they are, is that's what matters most. Do you feel good? Do you look good? And then ultimately, like, if you go to the doctor, are you healthy? And it's like, if those things are 100%, then you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Trust me.
So when I won't let me do it, but when we get off, Gabby said I can post her photos there, so you can take a look. It's like November 4th of this year. I think she took them November 30th was the last time she took the photos. So really look at her waist compared to the two photos, and then look at her cap delts, and that's literally not even a month. And that's just from progress photos. So you have to see, if we focused on the scale, if we were like whatever, just focusing on the scale, there's no really movement, right? 1 or 2 pound up and down fluctuations. But look at the photos. And so I just want to show you an example of literally like focusing on progress photos. Obviously her strength has increased substantially. So focusing on those things over the scale is always going to really benefit you. So
That's right.
Let us know if you have any questions about scale fluctuations, and yeah, we love talking about it because we get it. Like,
It's a very common issue.
I remember when I first started into fitness, obviously I was obsessed with the scale because I didn't know any better, right? And so our job, and what we really want to reiterate, is that the scale fluctuates, especially as women. And it's a very normal thing, and we'll always preach that till the day we die. Keep preaching it for
That's
you guys.
right.
Yeah.
Preach. Yeah.
So
that's
let's
right.
have a great. We're midweek here. Let's have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you on Friday.
Yeah, happy hump day, right? It's
Yeah.
Wednesday?
Yeah,
That's
we
right.
trained glutes
There we
today
go.
this morning.
Oh, we trained, yeah, I trained my butt today.
Yeah. Okay, bye guys.
Okay, see you guys, bye. Great job, Britt.